So we're on live YouTube. We're going to be live on Facebook because, of course, the Facebook page, we go live. Steve, we're on Stitcher, iTunes.
We're on iTunes. It's a couple of them.
Okay, so now, because he is growing so much that we're on multiple platforms, but this is one of the few where it is a video podcast. So it, after tonight's show, is then uploaded for you to be able to share later. But also, if you go to my page, Unapologetically Black, on Facebook, you'll be able to share it. Like right now, Kanika set up because she's doing a watch party for the show. Jaleesa's over there. I think she's doing a watch party for the show, and that way, you know, on Facebook Live, you do a little watch party.
Well, how come I can't Facebook Live people? Oh, I don't know. Well, never mind.
Don't worry
That's
about
all
they
right.
doing it.
Okay, good.
So we're not going to be live on Facebook?
We are.
Oh,
But it's hold on a second.
okay. Because I got people ready to. So reporters was calling me all day. I'm like, you need to tune into my podcast because I'm not giving you election comments because I got my own show tonight to talk about that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I got my own show, so I'm going to be talking about the election recap on my own show tonight.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I don't need y'all. When you got to do this, I'm going to be nice.
Well, you know, it's interesting because they think you do.
They really do. And I'm, yes, because that's it. That's part of the show, too. We do the pre and the after because it's about having a conversation.
Absolutely.
So Steve's going to let me know when I do my little 3, 2, 1 countdown and let me know when I can welcome people once he does what he does, because that's the other thing is it is very organic. This is what a network coming up from the ground looks like, and the fact that it's black owned.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, guys, we are good. Let me check focus real quick. Good with that. Okay, we're rolling in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Square Media Network. I am LaWana Mayfield, and you are tuning in to Unapologetically Black with LaWana Mayfield. My guest tonight is the amazing, now he has multiple titles, so I'm going to say the amazing George Dunlap, and you're going to share which title or which hat you want to wear tonight. So, Mr. Dunlap, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Let's just say I'm George Dunlap.
Because this is a man that wears many titles and has masters, but we're going to just let everybody know that, yes, he is the chairman of the Mecklenburg County Board of County Commissioners. Mr. Dunlap, congratulations on that, black man representing.
Thank you.
Tonight, we are doing the after the elections roundup, follow-up, discussion, everything that goes along with that. As most people know, yes, I currently serve you on Charlotte City Council. Yes, I was in an election last night. No, I did not win. Yes, I got a podcast, so we're going to keep it moving. But what I would like to do is start out, because we don't have the rights to play the music. But for those that know, you know. So I'm just going to share a little bit of looks. Mary J. Blige and Nas, because they got this song out there called Thriving. So I'm just going to read a little bit to y'all because I feel like it speaks to me. Look what I did. I made history. They don't know what to do with me. Ain't looking back, keeping it moving. I know exactly how to do this. Keep smiling. Make them wild out. Stay loud. Don't dumb down. Hold my crown up to the sky. Hold your crown up to the sky. Hey, time for us to go and get the money. Y'all, floodgates open, gonna take it all. I am a diamond, 'cause of pressure. The bigger the trial, the bigger the blessing. No, we're not just surviving. Yeah, we're thriving over here. All those sad songs don't break me. Just gave me a record deal. We're not just surviving. Yeah, we're thriving. You see, I'm on a mission. Ain't no baggage weighing me down. Had to get out my own feelings, 'cause I'm tired of people seeing me down. I'm just going to be the part of it. Y'all need to go ahead and download that on YouTube, on whatever shows y'all have, so that you can listen to the words, because Sister Mary spoke to me. So as we thriving, Mr. Dunlap, we are getting ready to do a results recap, results, recap. Oh, and I want to take a moment to just say, Vicente Wines, thank
Oh,
you
am I
for
supposed to do that too?
thank
Oh.
you for providing a little libation for us, Mr. Dunlap.
Well, thank you. I really was excited about having the opportunity to come and talk to you today. I think having people listen to a recount or recap of the elections and taking this as an opportunity to kind of educate people about what did happen and what you might expect to see in the general election.
Yes.
Because people tend to forget the election is still in November.
Yes.
Now, in this particular case, many of the elections are over because the Democrats didn't have Republican challenges.
Exactly.
But Republicans who had Democratic challenges will be up in November as well. So this is just the beginning.
Exactly. And this is what I thought was really interesting at the polls, even in early voting, as well as yesterday. People were still coming to the polls mad that they couldn't vote for Dan McCready. They were upset about that because they live in the Congressional District 12. And I'm like, how you don't know? First of all, we had 2 weeks of early voting, 2 whole weeks of early voting. So as y'all can see, that all those that's tuning in, we got the results up here for you. But they were coming in my wife's mom is a chief judge at a precinct. She had a white man coming in. He said he Republican. They said there's no Republican ballot because that's in the general. Because he lives in 12 congressional district, not the 9th. There was an officer that happened to be next door. Why he went over to the police officer to say they won't allow me to vote?
Well, I mean, that's not so unusual. In fact, on my way here tonight, I got a call from one of my church members, and she simply wanted to verify that she had no right to vote in that district. I think the commercials and everything was so vast that people who are not familiar with the election process thought that everybody would have a say in that particular election, and they really didn't know. So she called me to verify that what they told her was true, and it was true. She didn't get a chance to vote because she lived in the 12th congressional district. And so that's not so unusual. My hope is that one day that people will really take the time and look at that voter card and be able to say who their representative is on both the national, state, and local level.
Exactly, because we have conversations. We have outreach. We have candidate forums. We have candidate debates. There is so much information that's out there, but at the exact same time, we still have people who did not know there was an election going on and that recognize your primaries in Charlotte, North Carolina are your most important votes because your primaries, because we have become such a heavily Democratic city, your primaries determine who's going to represent you. Because in the general election, we have not had on Charlotte City Council a Republican representative since Edwin Peacock.
So it's been some time. I think people still don't take the time to do the work.
Right.
They depend heavily on information from others. They depend heavily on the ballot from the Black Political Caucus. And oftentimes, if they don't get that ballot, they are totally lost because they're not going to take the time to do the research to find out who's running, what their platform is, and why they should or should not vote for a particular candidate.
So what I will say, I'm going to give a shout out to the Black Political Caucus and all those who came out to vote because I was the highest vote getter out of 148, 150 votes. I did receive 91. So BPC, I have no love lost for y'all because y'all were there for me, rock for me. I appreciate it. So thank you for my community because it was important. A lot of people don't realize the value. Our Black community and the community at large should take into major consideration the impact of the Black Political Caucus. So when you're out there campaigning, you have to get all these endorsements. The endorsement that meant the most to me personally, going from a district seat to at large, was receiving, like I was hoping I would be in the top 4. There is no way I could have guessed that I would have been the highest receiver of votes from Black Political Caucus. So I just wanted all of the voters, all of the members of the BPC to know from the bottom of my heart how much I appreciate the love. And when I tell you, George, the amount of love I saw on the campaign trail, both during the primaries and yesterday on election day, filled my heart to let me know that my work has not been in vain.
Well, I will tell you, when we met a little more than 8 years ago,
Right.
one of the things that drew me to you was the fact that you were outspoken, you were not afraid, and you would tell it like it is. And it was because of that first election. I can laugh about it now because it was so undercover about the things we did for you to win that election.
Right.
But I think it's interesting, and I think one of the things that people don't know about you is how committed you are in terms of keeping your word. Because 8 years ago, you said that at the end of this term, I am not going to run in the district. You didn't say what else you would do.
Right.
You said you were going to not run in the district. And I will tell you, I don't know of another person who would make that commitment 8 years in. I won't do it. I tell you that right now. I don't know when my last term is going to be. I know that time is going to come, and I don't want to be at a point where I can't get to the meetings or I'm hurting because I'm going to the meeting.
Right.
So I know that time is coming, but I'm not going to tell you now when that time is.
That's
but
it.
but I think people really don't know because they still question, why would she do something like that?
Right.
Why? She had a safe district. It was easy for her to
That
win.
is a safe district, George. Because
Well-
that's a challenge when people think that, because I ran into a lot of it when I first ran. And I'm going to backtrack and say thank you, because a lot of people did not want to speak to me. They supported me behind the scenes. They didn't want to do it publicly because the representative that was in office at the time had a reputation of being very vindictive. So they were like, if you don't win, I can't deal with the excess nonsense that's going to come along with it. But you, from the very beginning, you were there. At that time, you were still my county commissioner, and then they redrew them doggone lines, and I got somebody new. We ain't going to talk about that. But you were my county commissioner at the time and had been mine for many years. So when I think about when that idea, because there was this idea of I needed to kiss some rings. There was this idea that I needed to basically beg for acceptance, or this idea of, well, you weren't picked by so-and-so, so this isn't your seat. And I'm like, we got to change that if you really have a heart, a true heart for service. So it was always interesting to me, this idea of, well, why would you leave? Because if I ran into a lot of elders. If I had talked to you, I would have told you not to do it because you got a safe seat. What's a safe seat?
Well, traditionally, a safe seat is one where you are loved by your constituents. They haven't expressed openly about a desire to get rid of you. And it's the power of incumbency.
Yes.
When you're elected, and the new people will experience this as well, there are so many ways to put your name out there, and everybody gets to know who you are because of those things that are put in place. It wasn't until this year that I realized that on Spectrum News, they have a show, and the show is about who your elected representatives are. So all day long, they show city council members and what district they represent and talk a little bit about them, their picture all day long. And so that gets ingrained in people's mind. When the city council does something as a body, all of the city council members' names are listed there. So when you think about that and the fact that you're always in a public place doing something publicly, people tend to call that a pretty safe seat, especially when the person who challenges you doesn't have name recognition, doesn't have name ID.
And they haven't done any work in the community,
Well,
or just moved to the city a year and a half, 2-3 years before. I had been a community activist for 20 plus years in the community before running for office. So I never wanted to just get in and post up. So I said, I will do 4 terms, 8 years. And if I do my job right, because we're finna segue because we got something to talk about. If I do my job right, then I have trained, I have mentored, I have shared this information, I have shared the knowledge for others to step into this space and be as successful, if not more successful, because I done left them a hell of a foundation. They didn't got the foundation that I walked into, because I walked in after a financial decline, and when we saw the market take a major dip, who now that we have a new representative for District 3, congratulations, Ms. Victoria Watlington,
Yes.
you walking in a much better position than the position that I walked in. So I feel like I'm Obama right now. That I left the district in a whole better situation.
Well, I think you did, and I think people appreciated that. Now, just because you won't be elected after
December 6th, counting down.
December 6th doesn't mean that you go away.
Exactly.
I think if your calling is to serve mankind,
Yes.
then you'll find other ways to do that. And so being an elected official is not the end all be all to people who are called to that higher calling. I mean, you know, that's just who we are.
It's about service.
Absolutely.
But you brought some information, and I have the results. So now, for those that are watching, don't get excited. Dan McCready did not win. I know y'all looking at these numbers behind me. You're like, oh, that was on. No, this is only for Mecklenburg County. So if y'all looking at the top of this, at the top of the ticket for that congressional night race, Dan McCready did not win.
So what was interesting about that race is that while Dan McCready carried Mecklenburg County, you got to remember, and I don't remember the total number of counties, but there are lots of other counties that make up the 9th Congressional District. He won, Dan McCready lost by more than, I think, 12 or 13,000 votes in Union County.
Wow.
And then in Bladen County, where all this stuff started,
all of that happened.
Dan Bishop carried that, where all the mess started. And so when you start coupling all of these rural counties, and for people who don't realize what's happening with the voting population, is that a lot of the young people, a lot of the more progressive people are moving to the metropolitan areas, and they're leaving these rural areas to people who grew up there, don't want to move. And so that is why the metropolitan areas are becoming more Democratic. The rural areas still remain highly Republican. And so once you left Mecklenburg County and you go to places like Union County, where everybody elected is a Republican, and you go on down to some of these other counties, I think in Bladen County, which has a large African-American population,
Right.
the numbers were almost even. And some of those other rural counties where Dan Bishop won heavily against Dan McCready.
Okay, let's talk about this mayoral race, because I know you have some information as well that I want you to be able to share to break down. Because the other thing is I need those in the community to understand that this conversation tonight, what we're also attempting to do is to take the mystery out of elections. And we had so many people that said, I have no idea who to vote for. They had done no research. They didn't even know an election was going on. They came in to vote for that McCready Bishop race, and that's it. And the moment they found out that they could not do that because they are actually in Congressional District 12, they were lost.
Well, you know, this is the thing that really concerned me, especially about our people.
Yes.
When you look at how heavily people showed up to vote for Dan Bishop and Dan McCready, when they had no other race to vote for, nothing else to vote for. They didn't have city council because they lived outside the city limits. They had no district representative on city council, nothing else, but they came for that one vote. It just appears to me that in our community, there has to be an entire ballot to get people out, at least those people who are going to come. Now, we're thankful that at least 50 some odd percent of the Democratic voting population in Mecklenburg County is African American.
Right.
And so when people tell you the Democrats don't vote, they're really talking about us.
Right.
We
stood in that line for an hour and a half up to 3 hours for some doggone Popeye's chicken.
Well, to be honest with you, when you look at the turnout, given the things that were on the ballot, I'm really proud of African Americans. They didn't come out in the numbers that I had expected them to, but they still showed up. You
So
can't say
this is what I would give credit to, George. Because if we go back to just the 2017 election, if you look at our total numbers, we had over 114,000 total that came out and voted, early voting and in the primary. Now, if we look at the numbers and the breakdown, as you just mentioned, and overwhelmingly half of the population is African American and or black, we showed up. We still could have done better.
Oh, listen, if the African American voting population shows up in any election, whoever we decide is going to be the winner will, in fact, be the winner.
Exactly.
The last time I looked at the numbers of the voters in Mecklenburg County, there were some 300 and some odd white registered voters, and about 230 something black elected voters. And of that number, there was 100 and some odd Republicans. There were more registered unaffiliates than there
Yes.
are Republicans.
Yes.
And the Democrats were almost 2-1 of the Republicans. So there is no reason for us not to have the people we want serving us represent us. All we need to do is go vote. The unfortunate part of that is that there are some people who will tell you up front, I don't vote.
Right.
There are some people who vote every 4 years, as if though the 4 years in between time don't
matter.
Don't matter.
That we're not looking at your tax rate. We're not looking at whether or not that sidewalk's going to be replaced, whether or not that road is going to be widened, whether or not we're going to make an infrastructure investment in your neighborhood in order to help gentrify that neighborhood. You ain't paying attention to none of that.
They really aren't. And so what I hope you'll be able to do, and I hope others of us will be able to do, is to help educate our community so that they really, really understand the impact of casting a vote and what that means.
So let's look at this. So we had the mayoral ballot. We had the mayor at the top of the ticket, Vi Lyles, and she had 4 challengers. Roderick Davis, who doesn't do any type of campaigning whatsoever. Lucille Puckett, who is a community activist, resident in District 3. Joel Odom, 20 years old, wouldn't even be 21. He just turned 21 and ordered to vote yesterday. And Tigress, who was in, Greensboro area, some other area that got ran out and then came to Charlotte and set up a new life. But look at these numbers, though.
Well,
come on now. This the show where we have real conversation.
Well,
Go ahead and say it.
So I want to be positive.
That's so sweet.
And I will tell you that most people, and one thing about us, we'll talk about you, but we'll still go out and vote for you. And
I don't
so
know them niggas ain't come vote for me, but okay.
they did vote for you. It was the other folk that didn't vote for you. But I think
I'm
people,
playing. I love my people.
People really like Vi Lyles.
I don't think so. They just didn't have a real strong candidate to run against Vi Lyles.
That might be true too. But this is the thing. This is the thing that you have to say. If you looked at all of the candidates, and the question is, who do you want to represent you?
Yes.
And not only are they representing you locally, but they
Across-
represent you across this
Yes,
nation.
across the
And
nation.
so you want somebody who's articulate, somebody who understands the issues, somebody that you feel proud of. So when you go to New York and they say, "Oh, I met your mayor," you'll smile. And you're happy about that.
I'm glad that's your experience, because when I travel, I get that same comment. Oh, I met your mayor.
Well,
And the look I just gave is the look I usually get. I was like, oh, well, I hope it was a good meeting.
And I think a lot of that is the company that you keep now.
Exactly. Well, no, I'm saying fellow elected, so across the nation. And here's the thing, what I will give credit to. You are absolutely right. Vi Lyles knows how to maneuver in corporate space. She knows how to negotiate. She is a businesswoman. She and I have bumped heads because, again, I was your second black female elected to city council after Ms. Scarborough back in 2011, so she came in after me. So we used to bump heads a lot when she was at large member, and we bumped heads when she worked hard to become mayor, because the challenge for me was you afraid to say black, whereas on her end she felt like I would say black too much. So there's a balance somewhere in there. When I look at her overall work, I have concerns as a resident, but also someone who served with her multiple terms and saw her focus from an elected official role, not the focus that the community seen. I saw her walk in the space as a quick walkthrough. I saw her not respond to invitations and requests, or respond to them, but keep pushing it off as if you're waiting for the next best invitation to come in. So I have a challenge because that is not how I ever served. But I also, again, give credit where credit was due. Based on the individuals who were running for that seat, we did not have a strong candidate that was running. Now, even though I had a lot of challenges back in 2017 with Joe Ford running for mayor against Vi, you actually had a real race.
Well, you had a real race, but you got to go back and look at the numbers.
Right. You can look at the numbers, but it was still a race.
Well, it was.
This wasn't a race. 59,853 to 2,930.
But oftentimes, what you'll find is that when it's not a race, people who would want to serve in that role say, listen, I'm satisfied with the service that I'm getting, and therefore I'm not going to get in it. It's always in this kind of race, it's those who are disenfranchised, who feel as if though they're not being listened to. And you know, it reminds me of a conversation I had with my son once. I hear you. I just don't agree with you.
Exactly.
And so don't be mad at me because I don't agree with you. And don't tell me that I wasn't listening. And so I think she listens. But you also have to understand that as mayor, she has very different challenges.
True.
Because she does, whether you realize it or not, our community want us to represent only them.
Yeah, we do.
Only them.
We do.
And she represents the broader community.
The entire city.
And so we have to give that to her. But by the same token, we can't forget how we got there. And so when you look at the Democratic
there's
voter,
an opportunity to remember that.
Yeah. When you look at the Democratic voting, large percentage, the majority, African American, we have to be responsive to that. And so now, I will tell you that as chair of the Board of County Commissioners, I get competing invites all the time. One of my largest voting precinct invites me to their district meetings on a regular basis. I can't ever go.
Right.
I hadn't been there in probably 10 years because they have their community meeting.
The night of your meeting.
The night of my meeting.
But that's a very different conversation, George. So we ain't gonna make excuses because we all have busy schedules if you're elected office. There's plenty of neighborhood meetings where they have them on Monday nights, and I'm like, so y'all really don't want me to skip a council meeting to come to your neighborhood meeting, right? But I'm talking about what you rely on, the LGBTQI community, the African American community. We had in our city the oldest living mother turned 115 years old in our city. CNN had a sister who turned 114. That city shut it down. CNN, well, not even CNN. I think it was Baltimore, I believe, but y'all can look it up. I might be saying the wrong state. But they had a sister who turned 114 2 weeks before our resident turned 115. They went all out. I went, read the mayor's office did issue a proclamation. We didn't reach out to the governor's office. We didn't reach out to our Mecklenburg County delegation. We didn't reach out to our county commissioners. We didn't let anybody know about this. So she celebrated her 115th birthday in our city. That's something where you make sure that you have representation there. There's another event. Last year, the end of the year, the LGBT Chamber of Charlotte is the largest LGBT chamber, all business owners, whether you identify as LGBTQI, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, anybody that don't know what the letters stand for, as well as non-LGBT individuals who are business owners. We have the largest in the Southeast. They had their big annual gala dinner. Mayor was listed. Mayor canceled, like within 48 hours. Event completely sold out. Governor Cooper, they announced that he was coming after the event was completely sold out. Then, now you canceled. They have been courting you. Y'all been going back and forth for 2 months. You can't make it. You canceled. The day that Governor Cooper is announced, you call, and not only call and say, I want to attend a sold out event, you demand to be in attendance, and it just so happens City of Charlotte staff members were receiving an award for their small business outreach. You say, I'm going to accept the award on behalf of the staff. You don't do stuff like that. If you can't make it, you can't make it. If you want to be there, you want to be there. But don't keep waiting for what next is going to happen. And because the governor say he's going to be in the space, all of a sudden this is a priority.
Well, and I can't speak to either one of those situations because I don't know the circumstances. I do know that for myself, there have been times when I say I can't do it, my schedule changes, then I can do it, but then it's up to them whether or not they still want me to come. And the same is true when you have commitments. There are lots of things that I would like to do that I simply can't do. I will tell you that if I accepted every invitation that I get, I would probably be in meetings from 7 o'clock in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week.
Right.
And so in that comes this time where you kind of need to wind down. You need to kind of relax.
Self-care.
Yeah.
You need to have it.
So,
and I respect that.
Yeah.
But don't tell me you're going to do something. Don't pander. Don't show up and get in the... Now, I ain't going to lie. Hell, as hard as it was, I held my nose and I voted for it because I believe we need some consistency. Because in the 4 terms I've been in office, we have gone through 6 mayors, 4 councils, 3 city managers, and 2 city attorneys. So I believe we need some consistency, especially with that RNC coming. So even though I held my nose, I still voted for her. But I just need her to check herself, remember who the hell she is, and don't overcommit if you can't. It's one thing if you say, I don't know, and I give you a deadline, and I ask you, hey, what's the time you need to know? Because I know you're going to create marketing materials. I know you're going to promote this. And I give you a decision opposed to saying, yes, I don't know, maybe. No, I'm not going to do it. But then when you hear somebody that you think is important for you to be in a room with, then you won't have it on earth to stop. Only person say I stopped the world, male or female, don't make no difference.
Because I've been there, and I can't answer for her, and I'm sure.
How you gonna submit somebody's name to be vice chair of a doggone committee that we both appoint to, who ain't even serving on the committee, ain't never been on the committee, opposed to promoting someone who's been on the committee up? George, we gonna move on. I ain't messing with you. Let's look at this at-large race. Let's go on down. Let's go on down to this at-large race. Because you got some info.
I have information, but I mean, I think that the mayor's race speaks for itself. I think all in all, and if you will recall, even when the Republicans were looking for a challenger, I mean, they wanted somebody that they felt good about.
Right.
They couldn't find anybody, and so. As a result of that, I mean, business people are business people. Right. And so they're going to support the mayor. And because they're going to support the mayor in the general election, you're going to have people from all walks of life voting for the mayor.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will say is that when you look at how substantial her numbers are when compared to the other candidates. Now, mind you, a new candidate running for the very first time has to do something to get name recognition.
Right.
With the exception of Joel Odom, all of these people had name recognition. Exactly. They've run multiple times.
Right.
People know who they are. They know what they stand for. Lucille Puckett ran against me when I was on the school board, and she's been running about every other year since that time. And so when people know who you are, they know who they want. And some of them might have some not so nice things to say about the mayor, but just like you, what it all boils down to is, who do I want to represent me out of this group?
Right. Now, we're going to go to that large.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Trying to clean it up for her. I'm like, it don't matter. She the mayor.
I like the mayor.
We got what we got. I mean, you can like her.
Yeah.
I like her as an individual on some days, but I mean that's just
Well,
what it is. But we're gonna
now-
go there because we got some
Well,
whole other seats to go through.
Yeah, but let me say this. Let me say this.
Go ahead, I'm gonna give you that.
You know, I've been an elected official for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
And I still have some growing to do. And I think if the mayor is listening, I think if others will share this with the mayor will govern herself accordingly.
I bet you a nickel this her last term because she got higher aspirations.
And that's okay.
And that's fine. Here's what I said earlier this morning. I sent out on Twitter a congratulations to all the newly elected except one. We'll talk about that chick. But I
like her too.
I don't care if you like her. That chick right there, me and her gonna have some adult words, but that's a separate conversation.
Yeah, that's a separate conversation.
'Cause look, we got our whole podcast to talk about it. That's a separate conversation. But what I said is just do right by the community with this RNC. That's all I care about. Make sure that we are prepared. So we're going to look at these at-large numbers that's up here behind us.
So this is what's interesting
Can
about...
I just tell you, that blew me away that Braxton was the highest vote getter. That Negro funny.
Well, you know, the one thing I can tell you about Braxton,
What you can tell me that I ain't seen.
well, he does his own thing.
Oh, he does.
Even
in multiple ways.
Well, he does, even on the council.
Even outside of council, but yep.
And even outside of council. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Hell, I've done my own thing. What's your point, dude?
Well, but when you talk about why he's the highest vote getter, I will tell you that he had a campaign unlike everybody else's.
Okay.
I probably got more communication from Braxton.
Yeah, I heard he
Than
had a
from
very
anybody.
strong social media campaign.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
He did. And you
I give
can't
his
take that
team
away
credit.
from him.
Congratulations. I give his team credit. You don't do no damn work, but I give you credit. So I want to see what you do. So I give you credit for that. You ran a hell of a campaign.
Well, you know, in the end, that's what it's all about.
That is.
Because I know a lot of people, I know some other people run a very strong campaign that I don't think represents our community well, but comes to our community snapping pictures, Facebook.
You ain't gonna talk about my friend Pat. I'm gonna rock
No,
with that.
and I don't have a problem calling Pat Cotton's name.
Because this is what
I
I
think-
know.
I
I'm
think
gonna-
she
the way you
prostituting-
defend that doggone man I have, I'm defend
And
that
that's-
county commissioner
that-
colleague of yours because I'm gonna rock with Pat. Because when I'm out there in the community at all these doggone meetings, that's who right there with me. But we ain't talking about the commission.
But she
We
is
talking
there,
about
but
city.
you watch
We
her
talking
vote.
about
Okay, so
city.
let's talk about
Look
the
at
city.
you, stay focused.
Look at. Okay, so we talked about Braxton. Of course,
Yeah.
Smudgy has served longer than all the rest of them.
Yes.
So rightfully he's there up near the top, and the person that you're talking about is
Dimple.
Dimple.
That
But-
chick funny.
But let me tell you something about Dimple.
Please tell me.
And regardless of whether you like her politics or
Oh,
not.
it's not about like politics.
Well,
Go ahead.
I heard some other things too, but what I do like about her
Oh, I'm glad you
is
do.
the same thing that I like about you.
No, hell, don't put
Wait
us
a
in
minute,
that
wait a minute.
same
Well,
category.
no. There are multiple things that I like about each one of you, and there's probably some things that I dislike about you, and I probably dislike about her too. But the fact is, I like somebody who is not mushy mouth. Speak up and speak out. Now,
I agree
know-
with that.
Now,
just need you
sometimes
not to
people
be
don't know
scripted.
what they're talking about.
Right,
and
you might not know
sometimes-
what you're talking about.
Sometimes
and
you might
have
not
notes
agree
'cause
with them.
Somebody told you what to say, so
Yeah.
you sound. I'm glad that you can read.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
the fact is that you'll speak up.
Yeah.
I will tell you that one of the reasons Vilma Leak is the highest vote getter in the district races today
Yes.
is because she speaks up.
But she speaks up with knowledge and information about it. Now she also talk a whole lot of junk because we had to go live last week about chick. You ain't gonna keep throwing the city on the bus about the county doing their damn job, and what the city job is regarding code enforcement with that damn Lake Arbor. But that's another different conversation.
That's a different
but
conversation.
I'm like, you're absolutely right. She speaks up, but I'm like, I need black folks to stop giving a pass because just because you talk a lot of junk, but you ain't actually what you're doing is reverberating and regurgitating somebody else's words and somebody else's work. That's a very different conversation. Like, you gonna send out a post on social media thanking Miss Ivory for her endorsement. First of all, we sending prayers up, Miss Ivory, and to Terrell. You've been out of town since July. I talked to you. You ain't doing no endorsement. That endorsement from 2017. So when you're doing unscrupulous shit like that, where you just saying, hey, these people endorsed me in 20, that's you taking 2017 info. You ain't even talk to them, ask them. Don't pander to the black community. And I also know conversations where you have threatened people. Like, that's that old school. That's the type of politics that I heard about when I first ran, the person that I replaced, how they would maneuver with people and how they would threaten people or threaten certain businesses if you don't show me support. I don't have time and energy for that kind of nonsense. That right there it's not about service. It's about you, and I'm gonna need you to stop lying about the work you've done.
But I tell you what has to happen in situations like this. Those same people who she used as endorsers, because she had a list of them.
A list
And
of black folks, because you pandered. You trifling piece of something.
And they were influential black folk.
They were.
And so because
And I ain't do that, because I wasn't going to be playing blackface with my black people.
But because she did that, I'm telling you, there is also a group of African Americans whose voices she listens to.
That Tuesday morning breakfast forum when you were arguing with our elders, but okay.
They may not have been at Tuesday morning breakfast forum, but I tell you what, if she could not produce that same list of supporters next time, then you will certainly see the difference in the vote totals.
You don't see the difference next year when you no longer have a pass and you got to actually show up and do the work.
Well, and then
that's what I'm saying. Just do the work.
Then people will have next year's election to make that determination. Because I think, the fact that you have this podcast enlightens people.
Yeah.
So now people are going to start looking for the things that you talk about to see whether it's real or not. Because you won't let me talk about Pat. Because I can tell you and I can demonstrate what my
I want you to, because here's the thing, you can talk about that just like I'd let you talk about the mayor. What we say, George, we can agree to disagree. Just like you're going to rock with that woman I work with, I'm going to rock with that woman you work with. But you get to share your experience here in this space. This is an open space.
So let's just round this out. After Dimple, then you got Julie.
Now, when I tell you that was surprising to me, that Julie came in for white folks. I'm surprised.
It doesn't surprise me.
Why?
Look at the historical data.
Okay.
The historical data suggests that the largest voter turnout in the primary are African Americans. And so when you look at this list, the 3 top people are people of color.
That is true. That is very true.
The 3 top people are people of color. And so then Julie, because she has name recognition, because she has served, came in third. Now, fourth. Okay, so the question is, why is LaWana Mayfield?
LaWana Slight Mayfield. That's my daddy name. I'll fight you over it, so don't even come for me with that.
So why is she not one of those top 4? Now, let's be real.
Yes.
When you look at historical data, it is rare that a person moving from a district moves into an at-large seat.
You're right, because almost everyone that ran at large, except for James, and James set out one term and then came back and ran at large.
Even look at Darrell Williams' race.
Yes.
Darrell Williams was one of the most respected officials there was, but when he went from the district to the at-large race, he lost. And what happens is you got the majority of the people saying, because of this power of incumbency, these are the 4 people who have represented me. I want to stick with these 4 people at large. And so that's another reason why I thought it was crazy for you to leave that district seat. But the bottom but the bottom line is that's the only reason. If one of these people had not been there, now what would have surprised me if somebody who had not served was one of these top 4.
You know what?
Then I would have been concerned.
There was a lot of energy in the community for Jorge, because Chad didn't have he didn't run necessarily a strong race. He showed up and he spoke and he had some good ideas. Like he has this new deal. He had some things. He had a lot of suggestions and ideas that never go anywhere. But he came to the table with some ideas. But there was a lot of energy on the ground in the community around Jorge.
Well,
so I actually expected him to do a little better.
Well,
I mean, because my feelings ain't hurt. I'm like, I was number 5, and considering we had 8 people and raised like $45,000, I'm good.
So what you see when you see all this energy around Jorge is you see the Hispanic community doing what we're trying to get the African American to do.
That we should have been doing.
We're
285 years.
They are waking up.
Yes.
They are waking up. What they're doing is they're counting their voter strength.
Right.
And even though it's small today, that voter strength is going to increase. But because I will tell you, one of the things that they did this year that they've never done before is they went to every county commission district, including mine, and asked us to host a meeting for the Hispanic community to educate them on the election and the electoral process.
Wow. That is
And
great.
so I was happy to participate. And so they are energized. They are looking for an opportunity to take a seat. And I will tell you that Jorge did well. Now you talk about Chad and all of the good ideas he has. Remind you, Chad has run
multiple times.
so people know his name.
Yes.
And what they're saying is,
We good.
right. I mean, and so
That's gonna be a hard pass.
you know, and some people don't get that message. It's like, it's my right, and yes, it is your right, and you have every right to run. Nobody can tell you when and when not to. And he just happens to be one of those people who feels like that's what he wants to do.
I mean, well, let's think about it, because we've had sometimes it works. So you think about it. Ed Driggs down and I served. We're going to get to his race. But when he first ran, he ran for county commission. And did not,
Yeah,
he
but
did.
who did he run against?
But it doesn't matter. He ran, he lost, and then turned around, ran city council, and won. And so we'll get to him when we get to him. But when you see that all of that to say that there have been individuals who have run, and maybe that wasn't a seat, but the community said, you know what, you're consistent, you do care about the community, you want to serve, we're going to go ahead and give you a chance.
So I coach candidates. And one of the things I tell them is that you need to figure out where your passion is.
Right.
And once you figure that out, if you're committed to that, then if you want to be on city council because that's where your interests are,
Yes.
you need to stick with that. You might try the district seat, you might try the at-large seat, but stick to city council.
Can you not have a town hall about CMS school system if you're on city council? When you don't even
We ain't
talk
talking
to the
about it.
school
We
board
already
member.
passed.
Nah,
We've
I'll let
already-
you talk about. I'll let you
We've
talk about my talk about that top ballot for a good little minute. But can we just talk about the realities of when we? Because how you gonna have a conversation about school board, but you don't have none of the school board members a part of it? But you're right. I mean, know what you passionate about.
So let me respond.
Know what you're passionate
so
about.
let me respond to that.
That's what you're trying to tell me.
Well, no, that's a different issue. So let me respond to that. So what you have is a candidate running for one office
Yeah.
who understands the community is passionate about a totally different subject that they ain't involved in, because I know what you're talking about.
At all. And actually
But
really
they-
don't have a lot of
but
experience on
It didn't matter.
and shared misinformation.
It didn't matter.
Oh, okay.
She was there to hear the community about school issues.
Oh.
And that resonated
I love
with
the
them.
fact that you
when-
can paint a pretty picture
No,
on
just-
that.
you know, I've been doing
You
this a
are
while.
so positive.
No,
that's
that's
not
just
what this show is about being real. This show ain't about painting a pretty picture.
no. I mean, and I'm just as real as I can be. But I'm telling you, because trust me, when I heard that, I said to myself, that ain't got nothing to do with city
Not
council.
a doggone thing. But
But-
even at that, you didn't have the experts in the room.
Look,
Okay, you know
I
what?
agree
Go
with
down
you.
here.
I
Look
agree
at-
with you. But I'm
listen,
just telling you
this is one.
what happened for people who are running for office is they identify with the people who are going to cast those
Okay,
votes.
so you know what I'm gonna say, and what I'm glad that I didn't do. I didn't try to step into the county's role. I did not attempt to step in CMS's role. If I had a conversation regarding the youth, then I brought in the experts who directly worked with, because I did want us to have more collaboration. So when I worked with Generation Nation and created a teen town hall, it was created for the teens. What I provided you with was the space, and I gave you my resources, because we receive up to 3-4 town halls a year. So I dedicated one of mine specifically for this, but you all lead this. I may help get the speakers in. That's where I would step into that role, because don't ask me a whole bunch of CMS related questions, because that's not my bailiwick, but I can bring you the experts from the school board, since those are the ones who are working daily. I can connect to a county commissioner who funds it in order for them to be in the space. So for me, that is how I maneuvered. And at the end of the day, I'm here till December 6th. I serve. I wasn't going to sit there forever. Again, I am excited for 3 of the 4 at-large members. One of them, I just seen too much of your behind-the-scenes work and how you maneuver that I don't trust you. That's what it is. And if I can't trust my representative, then there's no use for me to even play. I don't have a good poker face. So if you foolish,
don't
I can't
either.
fool with you. So I don't have the patience for that. So I'm not gonna play that game. But I am happy that the bulk of that core, it's only 4 seats, the 3 who should be leading the district representatives and help guiding the district representatives to be stronger and to learn what their role is. I wish them nothing but success in order to make sure that our city continues to grow in the right way.
So let me say one last thing about
What you got?
about that.
What you got?
About why she was able to do what she was able to do as it relates to the school issue. When you consider the fact that this school board has fired 4 superintendents in 5 years, you understand why there's so much dissatisfaction with the school board. And I think what people are going to be doing, because there's a school board race too,
Right.
is they're going to want people to tell us why we should bring you back, given your track record, and for those who want to serve, why you should serve, and what would you do differently than what has been done historically. Because as you stated earlier, stability is important.
It is.
Stability is important for those young people.
Right.
Stability is important in terms of leading the district.
Right.
And so we have challenges in that area.
Right.
And the school board is a different subject as well. So,
we can come back and talk about that
so
because that's in
we-
a
so
couple
we'll-
of months. So,
so-
we can do a recap on the
so-
school board as well.
So let's move on.
So District 1, Mr.
District 1.
Eggleston with Mr. Sean Smith, who recently moved here, and I think he just
that-
went and voted for the first time himself right before the elections. So that was a clear blowout. So congratulations to
Yeah,
Larkin.
we
gotta break that
just
down.
need to say congratulations
But-
to Larkin.
But,
And you know,
can we? Cause we can go into this district too, because I'm
But-
surprised
but let me-
at how that worked out.
But let me say this about Larkston. Sean may not have been happy with his leadership. I think he was
Right.
really just trying to take advantage of the opportunity. But Larkston represents his community.
He does.
And I will tell you that a number of times when I'm out in the community, he is one of those city council people who will show up when no other city council person
Exactly.
shows up. So I think he certainly earned another term in that seat. So let's move
This
on.
District 2.
District
Okay,
2.
so Dr. Justin Hollow going on to bigger, better, more financially secure things. Opened up a seat. So this year you had District 2, 3, and 4 that was open for brand new voices to come to the table. You had a voice that's not so brand new come back to the table. Mr. Malcolm Graham, as well as Ms. Jessica Davis, Antoinette Green, both Charlotte natives, and Jeremy Airy, brand new young person that came in who I believe wanted to be the first non-black representative for District 2. Come on, share with me because you over here smiling. What you got?
Well, so the challenge that all of those people had against Malcolm is that Malcolm Graham, like him or not, and that's my friend, he still has good name ID.
Okay.
People still know who he is. I went through the results of that district and I quit looking because, I mean, he won every precinct substantially. Wow. With 3 opponents, he won with large numbers. And it's because he is still representing the district that he represented years ago.
Right.
And so people know her. Now, by the same token, I think Jessica Davis is going to be a good elected official. I just believe that she is going to be elected. It just so happens that she ran against somebody who is still popular in this community,
Right.
someone who is still well known, whether you like him or not. He is and I will tell you what the word on the street is too, as it relates to Jessica. One of the things that hurt her is the people she had surrounding her, i.e., Colette Forrest.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't think she knew or thought that that would be a negative on her campaign.
I mean, because you got to recognize that Colette has a very powerful. She is a political machine, but I think it may be the time for her to be the machine behind the scenes completely and not have any part that's up front.
Well, I will.
Because she's a political, she knows how to work the numbers. She knows how to get the message out, how to utilize social media, how to get the word out.
But see, the point is, you're right about all of that. She knows how to do that. But what people don't realize is that just because you do that doesn't make me feel good about you.
Right.
And the problem is, if she could do that and not go out and say, well, I'm behind it.
Right.
I'm behind it.
I think that is a different conversation if she used all of her experience and all of her political savvy, which is on point, but in a very behind the scenes role.
She
Just
has
like
a
how
skill set. There's no
Braxton
question
manager
about
stays
that.
behind the scenes,
But
you ain't know as much as what they were doing. She wasn't necessarily always out front, unless they were out. So she wasn't always out front. But if you can figure out how to do that in a way where it's not tied, it doesn't become the Colette show, then I think it could make a difference.
I think it would.
But what I hope, so for those that are watching that know Jessica Davis and that know Antoinette Green, I want you to stay engaged. I want you to sign up, even though it's extremely competitive, sign up for the City of Charlotte's Leadership Academy and Leadership class. Because one of the other big things that I noticed on the campaign trail is that a lot of our first-time candidates were all over the place.
Oh,
And we have no idea. When you listen to some of the candidates, and now I'm not talking about specifically about Jessica or Antoinette, I'm saying as a collective, when we had the candidate speed dating and some of the statements and the passion that candidates showed for issues and concerns in the community that had nothing to do with you running for, or even understanding all the ideas of what you're going to do to fix this broken system without having a real concept that we're in a dealing rule state and what exactly would your authority and power be. And a lot of what I'm going to do versus the fact that you need to know what your magic number is to get votes.
And so there are a number of issues there. First of all, our community is in a drought when it comes to campaign managers
Yes.
who really know how to run a campaign.
And not just looking for a paycheck. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we're in a real drought because when I went to forums and I listened to what candidates said, it's like that manager should have told them not to ever say that. Or if I looked at their sign and you can't read it when the car drives down the street, or the first name is bigger than the last name, and everybody knows that on the ballot, your last name is the name that you go by, and that name should be bigger. There were just so many rookie mistakes that had they had the right training,
Right.
they would.
Yes, the domain name has already been set up.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
LLC
people-
is already taken care of for the small business. But we need to have a real conversation about just that, about training people on those little rookie mistakes that could very well be detrimental to your campaign. But if you're able to maneuver around them, create much success for your campaign.
I give you an example of my opponent in the last race, and I got one for my opponent. I've already got an announced opponent already.
Wait a minute.
Already.
We
It doesn't matter.
September 11th.
He's already out there. He's running
Lord,
against me.
okay.
But it's so funny. The last time I ran, one of my opponents was talking about all these great things he was going to do and all these things that he did in the community until I got him on one thing. When's the last time you voted?
That's one of the things that hurt, doggone.
He hadn't
Some of the
voted in
current
12 years, but he was out there asking people to vote for him.
Right.
And so somebody needs to come and sit down and talk to you. Let's say, now, let's look at all your positive attributes, and let's look at the negative things, and can you overcome this
Right.
in an election? Now, the truth of the matter is, when most candidates decide they're going to run, you might as well strap on, because you're not going to talk them out of it. They've already decided.
God told me, really, out of everything that's
Oh,
going
I
on
heard that
in the
one
universe,
too many times.
with everything going on
The
in the
Lord
universe,
spoke
you
to
think
me.
God gonna take time to tell you to run for office?
Well,
You can't find something better for you to do to serve, but okay.
I'm, I,
Hey, good luck with that.
I'm not saying God didn't do it, but I think people need to know when they're really listening to God and when they're listening
Right.
to themselves. So that's
Like,
that's another thing.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, good luck. All right, let's go on to three. Let's go
Okay,
on to three.
so District 3.
Yes, my man, I gave them a beautiful package.
Well, but the thing about District 3 is that it was the most competitive
Yes.
of all of the
It
races. They probably had the strongest group of candidates,
Yes.
and they all could be in public service.
They could, but we're going to have a real conversation about one of them.
They could all be in public service. Now, I supported one of them,
Yes, you
and
did.
there are a number of reasons why I supported Victoria. Number one, I'm thinking ahead. If LaWana Mayfield loses, there is not an African American female council,
Voice on council.
and we very much need that.
Yes.
We need that, and I
We
think
do.
she'll be a strong voice.
Yes.
And so that was one of the reasons why I was supporting her. And the other reason I was supporting her was that when I saw her video, standing behind her was some of the very same people who stood behind me the very first time I ran. And so in honor and recognition for the help that they provided me, I thought it only fair to help somebody that they also felt good about.
Okay.
And so, but now that's taking nothing away from Terry.
Right.
I think Terry's a good, will be a good candidate too. And the one thing that I heard people say about this particular race is that I wish they both hadn't run against each other.
Right.
Because they will both do a good job.
They both could be very successful.
And so
Yes.
what I like about this race too is that you didn't hear the negative stuff going back and
Yes.
forth between the candidates.
Right.
There was, if it was out there, it was undercover, but nobody heard that. Now, my disappointment in this particular race is Caleb.
It-
And
I
I
know.
gotta
tell it.
I gotta
Speak
put it
truth.
out there.
Speak truth.
First of all, not very many elected officials picks out somebody that they want to take their seat. You did
I
that.
can't do it for you.
You did that 4 years ago.
I can't.
And-
I can't hand it to you.
And for 4 years, he went to all your district meetings.
Yes.
He went to your neighborhood meetings.
Yes.
He was sent to represent you when you couldn't go.
Yes, he was.
So it was his to lose.
All day. All
And so
of it.
I'm real disappointed that he didn't have a better showing.
You too.
And
How you think I feel?
But I don't know why he didn't. Maybe the message from Victoria and Terry resonated better. Maybe they had better ideas and a better vision.
You know what? They showed up. Let's
Well-
just be honest. Every precinct discussion, every precinct meeting, every meet and greet, they were there. They were at every single one of them. They may have been running late. They let people know they was running late, or they told people ahead of time they leaving early because you're going to multiple on the same night. They were at every single one of them.
Yeah,
They
but
showed up.
it-
The first step is showing up. I'm like, outside of me carrying you on my damn back, I gave it to you. You had more relationships, more connections. Unfortunately, I had conversations with supporters of mine that was like, I haven't heard from her. I was like, you know what? Then you have to do whatever you think is best. Because I can't make you. Damn it, I gave you a pass. Now, keep in mind, I said to everybody, if you want to learn this, I will gladly teach you everything that I know. So from the very beginning, and even now for the next month and a half, 2 months, I have some internships set up, already lined up before I leave in December, because I want people to be strong advocates. I want them to know what this work really looks like. I need you to know that it's not just some big party and it's about you having a title, that this is real work.
Absolutely.
If you care. But I can't do nothing if I gave it to you, dang it, then that was yours to lose all day.
Yeah. So now, that doesn't take away from the fact that I think he'll still be a good candidate if he
One
runs.
day.
But
If he learns the lessons.
he has to have a stronger presence.
Yes.
And you know some things I don't know, but he's got some work to do.
But you know what? Here's the other thing that I would say that's amazing. He's 24. This was his first run. He got the experience. I personally attempted to challenge him to make your money. This can wait. You're young. You got plenty of time. I want you to make some investments, get your financial life in a different place. But he's experienced it. He knows what it looks like from this side. Because evidently, I joke with Jaleesa all the time. I say, I must make this thing look easier than what it is. Because everybody and their great aunt think they can do it. And then they get out there and they be stressed as hell. And I'm like, this is not easy work.
It's not easy
To
work.
be of service. You are a walking, talking dartboard. There are plenty of days that you just ain't enough for nothing. Even with me running at large, George. One, I kept to my original commitment. Hey, I told y'all 4, so I'm keeping to that because I thought it would have been disingenuous to say, okay, now that it's 4. Yeah, I ain't leaving. I'm going to stay. Y'all need to try to move me out. No,
Nobody would have remembered either way. But
I did, but that's the commitments that I've made. And also, this has been a lot on my family. Hell, I like being married. I love being married. I'm up early in the morning, before 7 in the morning, coming in at night after 9 o'clock. On the weekends, I'm out at community events. I'm traveling for conferences to try to learn how to do better at this stuff. I got board commitments. I'm gone a lot. That's not what she signed up for.
but
So I'm like, I'm good. But we ran that whole campaign with 8 volunteers, no campaign manager, and about $45,000-$50,000. So
well, that's a whole lot more than county commissioners ever raise when they run. But
really,
we had candidates that won that raised only $1,500 for county commission, but I won't go there. But this is the thing that I would tell you about this 8-year commitment kind of thing. I'm in my 11th year on the county commission. In my first year, I made 2 concerted efforts to do 2 things that were important to me. One was to establish a revolving loan fund so that people who couldn't afford to borrow money from the bank or had challenges because of their background could be able to borrow money at a small interest rate, pay it back, then replenish the fund and make that fund available to other people. And a lot of African Americans fall into the category. That was the first thing. And the second thing was, having grown up here, I remember the days when everybody went to Memorial Stadium for everything. The Battle of the Bands, the football games, the Shrine Bowls, or what have you. And, lately this place is like, nobody wants to use it. And so...
But we let it go in major disrepair from neglect for
we
many years.
Did. And when I first got on, I wanted to get it fixed back up. Okay. Because I wanted it to be used in the way that it had been used in the past, and then to find additional uses for it. Okay. And I also wanted this revolving fund. I will tell you, I've been here 11 years now.
11.
I am finally going to a groundbreaking this month. I am finally going to be able to be at an announcement where we make a formal presentation to say that that revolving fund account now exists. Come and sign up if you need money for your small business. Right. 11 years.
Yes, sir.
So now, had I stopped at 8,
right,
I would have been short, and chances are neither one of these things would have been fulfilled. I'm just fortunate enough that I was able to see from beginning to end. Oftentimes people come in
changes of 2 city managers, 2 county managers during that time.
Well, consistency is good, but it wouldn't have mattered because I would have continued to push the issue. But my point to you is this, and the reason why even the new people going on the city council should never say, well, I'm going to run X number of terms.
And nobody did. And I told everybody from the beginning, don't do what I did.
Absolutely not.
I had a goal. And I had a timeline for me.
Yeah, because if you do that, the great ideas that you have might not ever come to fruition. And so you just don't do that again.
Well, no, it ain't no again on it. I mean, I made the commitment that was best for me, but also you have to recognize, George, I also got a lot done in that 8 years.
Well,
But
you do.
my impact is going to be felt for at least an additional 2 decades throughout the district. Even when you think about the job fairs that was created, a lot of the things that I created in District 3 are now embedded into the city of Charlotte staff-wise community outreach. Starting from the beginning is something as simple as those little green, gold, and white pens that we walk around with. Those cute little council pens that we have.
I got one.
Because I gave you one.
No,
Who
no.
gave you one?
The
So you
county-
got. So y'all got that. I said mine for the city. We ain't talking about the county right now. So the city of Charlotte got those cute little pens. I'm the one who designed that pen. So little things like that. The fact that we have the District 3 Airport Job Fair, the impact of the Goodwill Opportunity Campus, the impact of the program that we have for seniors for housing, the impact of the TLC by COT, the targeted rehab, and putting specific funding and changing that model. So there's some things that I put in place, but I agree with you. I would tell everyone, and I've said to many people, don't do what I did. I initially said 8 years because I believed that that's how long it would take for me to make an impact. And up to that point, most of the people that I had seen serve for the district, that was around the time. But I'm also, to be perfectly honest, I pay attention to the numbers on the national level. We know another financial decline coming. We know it's like every 7 or so
absolutely.
years. So I came in on the height of it. Y'all figure it out when that dip come in 2021.
Well, you know, the good thing about it is that the person who is going to be replacing you in the district is somebody who will listen. And I think that many of the things that you put in place will be carried on.
That's the hope. And expand
because
upon it.
she wants to be just as an effective
That's what I hope.
Elected official.
Now, that District 4 race, that was another one that was a beast. Will you break this down? You had Renee Perkins Johnson, Charlene Henderson, Richmond Baker, Charles Robinson, Sean Thompson, and a young college student who's currently a college student at UNCC, Gabrielle Cartagena.
So I'm not going to go in order because a couple of things I want to say about this. There again, the Hispanic community had a good candidate, you know. Now you got to look at, well, the Hispanic community is all over Charlotte,
Right.
and not concentrated in one area.
Exactly.
So when you consider the fact that he had all these opponents who are African American, he wasn't going to do well. There's no way he would have done that. I had some concerns about a couple of the candidates in terms of their ability to reach beyond their own communities.
Okay.
You know, it's good to be known at home, but people outside your community have to be known as well. It was so interesting that in my last race, I lost 2 precincts. And one of the precincts I lost was the precinct that my strongest opponent lived in.
Okay.
Now, I was still disappointed that I didn't win that precinct, but the
Right.
fact is, as an unaffiliated, he had to get 1% of the voters in District 3 to sign a petition allowing him to get on the ballot.
And just so y'all are clear, when we talking about the district numbers, City Council District 3 is very different from County Commission District 3. It's a different area. So as Commissioner Dunlap talks about his race as a county commissioner, his District 3 is very different from the Charlotte City Council District 3.
Yeah, different race. But he was
But
registered.
Richmond ran for county commission.
He ran for county commission, so he had to get 1%. So at that time, I think we had close to 160,000 voters in the precinct, in the district. And so he had to get 1,600 voters to sign on to allow him to challenge me because he wasn't a Democrat. If he was a Democrat, he could have run against me head up, like the other Democrats did, but he was unaffiliated. So one of the things, and I listened to the community on this particular race, he is such a conservative person that came through even in the debates, even in the discussion. Now, he is now registered as a Democrat.
Right.
But even if you're registered as a Democrat, if what you say and how it comes out appears to be different than what most Democrats hear and listen to, it's going to be hard to resonate
Okay.
with folk. Now,
So you think that's where Renee shined because she was able to resonate?
well, I think Renee is such a personable person. She has a real sweet spirit. She says thank you a lot. She's just, and she's done a lot of good work.
Right.
And I think that's why people were attracted to her. The Black Political Caucus was excited about her race. And you know how I feel about Charlotte Disturber.
Right.
But
We ain't friends.
but even they were excited about her race. And when you look at the work that she's done in the community, other people got excited about the race.
So what do you think the disconnect was with the community and Charlene Henderson? Because she's done a lot of work in the community.
Charlene had one of the best grassroots campaigns
Exactly.
in this entire race.
Yes.
She had a good, and
So
she,
why the
she had a political operative in Ronald Dean who really understands how this political process works.
Okay, so
Helping
what
her.
happened? That
You
you,
know-
see or what you heard? Because we don't know what happened. What we know, what happened is the voters went in and voted how they voted. But what did you see?
Well, I will tell you that even if you have good ideas, it doesn't mean anything if you can't convey that to the people that you want to support you. And I think Charlene had difficulty conveying her message to people about what she really thought was important and what she really wanted to do with the district. I saw her on one particular situation where she was asked to talk for about 2 minutes about what she would do if she got elected. And she basically fell to pieces. She could not get it together. Now, heretofore,
that's where our consulting company is going to come in.
yeah, heretofore, when you're talking and you're like we are,
Right.
people feel comfortable. But when you tell people you got 2 minutes, or when you put them in a stressful situation,
You got 30 seconds to respond. You got a minute and 18 seconds.
that
What?
that becomes difficult for people. And so
Right.
one of the things that I used to train people on was the very same things that I was trained on, is how to speak extemporaneously, how to talk on your feet.
Because we have something that's going to get it and
You-
being
you-
succinct and breaking it down. But can you just share that?
You got to
a
be
little?
quick on your feet. In other
Thank you.
words, you got to have a response. Now, it's okay to take a second to think about what you're going to say,
Right.
but you got to
Take a
have a
breath.
response. You can't take all the time allotted to you talking in circles.
Or can you not say what you want to say and not answer the question, and then when it comes time for you to answer the question, your time up. So then you want to run over your time. Can
You
you
know.
be respectful of the process? Okay.
Well, and the other thing, one of the things I
I didn't
always
say y'all did that, but somebody did that this past weekend and it still sit with me
so
evidently.
if you are fortunate not to have the first question,
Yes. You got time to think about
you
it.
got time to think about it, get your thoughts together.
Yes.
Now, pros mess up like that too. Well, most elected, you look at the president.